So today we're going to look at lesson 3 of chapter 2, which is called Building Good Character. All right, this is going to, here again, we're going to do some self-examination a little bit, and we're going to look at ourselves a lot. All right, what is character? Character is the way a person thinks, feels, and acts. That's the definition of it. The simpler way of saying it is who you are. All right, you define your own character. You are who you are, and I can be the first one to admit that everything in my character isn't perfect, but it is who you are, all right? It really encompasses 6 what we're going to call characteristics. First one's called trustworthiness, or trustworthy. Are you trustworthy? Okay, if you think of this, and you're going to start realizing this is going to all sound pretty familiar in the sense that it encompasses our character counts traits, okay? And within this, but trustworthy, really, we're looking at another word to kind of go with it's what we call integrity. Integrity is being true to your ethical values, all right? When you have integrity, you're going to stand up for what you believe in. You're going to stand by what you believe in. You're not going to waver just because somebody tells you to, all right? You're going to be fair. Fair is when you treat people equally. It's also if you're willing to listen to people, even though they have a different opinion than yours, and at least, be open-minded enough to listen to it. Um, this is one that it's harder to do than people realize, but sometimes, even though you disagree, it's okay. You can just agree to disagree, and that's being fair too. All right. Being responsible is one of the definite good characteristic trait. This to me is simply at your age is going to be: do you get your homework done on time? Do you do what you're asked to do? Do we have to remind you to do it? If we stay to visit quietly, and are you guys being loud or are you actually being quiet? Those are what that character really encompasses. Are you respectful? Okay, this is one that I believe is, if I was ranking these in order, this would always be number one. And most people, and I believe this, I know Mr. Odegaard believes this, that this one really dictates the next 5, all right? This is the one that if you have respect, the other ones come easy. If you don't have respect, they don't come at all. And just being respect basically means you show a little bit of caringness or a little bit of thoughtfulness in everything you do or say. You just like I say, it's if you show respect, the other ones just come easy. Is the best way I can describe respect. If you're caring, you are going to communicate and be accepting of other people's thoughts and feelings. Doesn't mean, like I said, you have to agree with them, but just showing that you are willing to listen sometimes, even though somebody just needs to vent, that shows that you care a little bit. You may not agree with what they're venting about even, but sometimes, like we say, we just do those things, make somebody feel better about their day, and then you move on. Citizenship. This one, the best way I can describe it is that, are you willing to follow what's asked of you? Okay. For example, being a citizen in this country, you're just asked to follow the rules, follow the laws, vote, things like that, where you can have your input on the government. Being a citizen just means that you kind of do what you're supposed to do. You do have a right to an opinion, and you are free to share that opinion. It's just that you got to make sure you do it in a respectful manner. Within as a student, I'd say it's just like we just kind of go like what I said. Instead of following the laws, you just got to follow the rules. You gotta show a little bit of classiness if you want to disagree with somebody. All right. Those are all fine and dandy. You just got to make sure that you just kind of, like we said, just show the respect factor when you're maybe agreeing to disagree. I got this chart out of your book, and it's a pretty good chart. It talks about trustworthiness. It's just basically the qualities of it are going to be: you're going to be honest, truthful, and be counted on. Promptly return borrowed items is a good example of this. If you want to think of something for school related, you check a book out for the library. You check it out. You turn it back in the time that you're asked to turn it back in. Respect. You're going to listen. You're going to disagree without arguing. Okay, we talked about that a little bit. If somebody has concerns, you listen, and you listen carefully. I mean, make sure you show that person that you're actually paying attention. Responsibility, like we said, you're going to keep promises, you're going to think before acting. Example of this could be, like it says there, household tasks without being asked. All right, if you know your mom's had a bad day, you get up, you just help them do the dishes, and you don't say anything right after supper, instead of going down to your room and playing video games. Fairness, you're going to treat people equally and open-minded. You're going to be patient with even people that disagree with you. All right, and this is where it says consider new ideas, okay? But then everything, you got to be a little bit open-minded, okay? This is where somebody comes with a new idea of doing things at a job place. Just because it's new doesn't mean it's bad. The joke I often have with people is that the thought of change scares people. But guess what? You got to give it a fair chance. And I'll admit, maybe one of my flaws sometimes is I don't give things a fair chance. Eventually, though, I've learned that even though I don't like the idea, sometimes I got to listen and just go with it and see what happens. Caring. Are you kind, generous, compassionate, or helpful? Caring could be, like it says there, helping younger students. Could just simply be helping your classmates. You see your fellow classmates struggling with a concept in math, for example. You try helping to get it across to them. Help them with their homework. You don't do their homework, but you help them with it. And the last thing, talk about citizenship. Like it says there, obey rules and laws, practice advocacy, follow school rules, and help others follow them, all right? You know, it's a simple thing. You see a kid doing something they're not supposed to do, knock it off. Tell them to knock it off, all right? You know, it's better probably coming from you than it's going to come from a teacher, because if it comes from a teacher, there's probably going to be consequences coming with it. You know, one thing with citizenship now is, and we have this, is that the Stop It app is one of the ways you can help with citizenship. You see kids doing something they shouldn't be doing, that's a way for you to kind of turn it in. All right. So what shapes character? Okay, this is, in my book, pretty simple but pretty straightforward. Choice shapes character. You choose who you're going to be every day of your life, okay? And don't get me wrong, we're not the same person or even the same character every day in our life. Some days you're a little nicer, some days you're probably not so nice. And like I said, I know that. I've been there, done that. But at the end of the day, day in, day out, you make that choice to be who you want to be. Life experiences affect your choice, or affect your character, okay? I can tell you one thing from experience. When I first started teaching and coaching, first 2 weeks after I started teaching, I had a young man die in front of me in football practice one day. That was a life experience that obviously has changed my character and gave me a very different perspective on a lot of things about sports and even just life in general. Those type of things, when they happen, will leave an impact on you. All right, that's kind of one of the more dramatic cases, but it's just little things like that. Your book makes reference to is when you're little kids, your parents often told you to share your toys. Okay, those are little things. Sharing your stuff once in a while is okay. You don't have to share it all the time, but you got to be able to use give and take, as I like to say, and be able to get along. Role models impact character, okay? And I know a lot of times when people hear the word role models, they think celebrities, athletes, this and that and everything else. And to a degree, they are. They are role models, whether people want them to be or not. However, there's other people that can be role models, such as parents, teachers, coaches, even peers, older siblings, whatever. You choose what role models you want to follow. I know within our school, I know some kids would admit it, but their biggest role models are their siblings, all right? I know other ones would say it's this professional athlete. And then I kind of ask them maybe some questions. I know this particular athlete would probably have been in some, shall we say, legal issues. And it's funny how kids will stand up for him right now, because it's like they got the blind eye that, ooh, they can't do anything wrong. Well, yeah, they can. Nobody's perfect, and that's what I mean. That's why you got to pick your role models pretty well, because if you don't, you might end up picking up some of their bad habits as well. How to develop character, okay? Character takes work. It takes effort. Every day of your life, you're going to be developing your character, and how much effort you put into that really is going to dictate what type of character you're going to have. If you kind of be sloppy and lazy about it, guess what type of character you're going to have? Sloppy and lazy character. You're probably be wishy-washy. You're not going to be steady on anything you say or do. Okay. However, you put a strong effort into your character. You put a strong effort into what you do. You're probably going to have a strong opinion. You're going to be probably a hard worker and do things the right way. That's the effort part of developing character. Thinking about what you do or say. This is very critical at your age. You're getting to the age now where you're getting a little bolder, a little more, a little easier to speak what you say, or say what you speak. Excuse me, speak what you think. And when that happens, you gotta learn to think before you speak. Okay, I've had a number of students in the years I've taught, and I understand this is part of the growing processes. Sometimes I've sat there and a kid snapped something to me, and I looked at him and I said, "Are you sure you mean that?" And it's funny because you just see the look come across their face of like, "Uh-oh, I wish I could take those words back." The good thing in this school situation is that we kind of let you take those words back at times, depending on what is said and done. Other times we don't, depending on the severity of what is said. If you really want to snap a comment back, the best thing you can always do is stop for 2 or 3 seconds, then speak. This way you can make sure it's what you want it to say, and it sounds how you want it to mean, when it means what you want it to say, okay? You ever heard the saying, think before you speak? This is really where it comes into play. You got to be able to listen. If you cannot listen, it's hard to be a good anything. It's hard to be a good student. It's hard to be a good teacher. It's hard to be a good boss. It's hard to be a good employee. If you can't listen, it's part of the way of a two-way communication. There's somebody giving a message and someone receiving a message. Well, in our society, you got to be able to listen or read to be able to get those messages. And this one kind of comes back to the simple thought that I think I've mentioned on these videos before, is that there's a reason you were given 2 ears and 1 mouth. You should listen twice as much as you speak. If you want to change something in your character, you must take action. If you find that you kind of think that you're building a bad attitude about something or towards someone, you must take the time to fix it. Here again, it's going to take effort. You're going to have to think about what you're saying. You're going to have to listen to what you're saying. All right? And listen to what other people are saying to you. If you find that there's maybe a situation where somebody's influence is making you feel that way, maybe that's an influence you need to try to reduce or eliminate from your life. These are not easy things to do, but you must be willing to take the action to do it if you want to change it. This is where, if you ever watch movies or read stories where somebody kind of has a fallout with their parents, usually it's because they find that they think their parent has a character flaw or something they don't agree with, and they try to remove themselves from the situation. I'm not saying you need to move out of your house or anything like that. It's just, if you want to look to the movies and things of that nature or books, this is where it kind of comes in. All right, so brief roundup on this is that you decide your character. You decide who you want to be. If you want to be a pain in the butt, you'll build a character that's a pain in the butt. If you want to be a good person, works hard, does what you're supposed to be, you got to work at it. You're going to work at being that person. You, in the end, are the one who chooses who you are. No one else dictates that to you. All right. This brings us to a close of chapter 2. Which probably means we have a review tomorrow and a test the following day. All right. Have a good day.